Through the ups and the downs, through the thick and the thin, there's no place I'd rather be than home. They say home is where the heart is. Well, my heart's in the city.
Alright, so we're fixing to pull up to the stadium right now, and we're gonna go talk to Justin and Nick. Maybe a couple of the players too. Ooh, that Smoky sign looks good.
Chillin' with my girl, she the best part of my world. Popping bottles of Moscato till those bottles end up hollow. Living in the moment, want this moment for forever. Me and you the sharpest two, cutting through the mood together. Lips red as wine, leaving lipstick on your tall glass. Laughing as the sun set, damn I love her fine ass.
Alright, I'm Nick Patillo, sitting here with Justin Rock. He is a broadcaster for the Tennessee Smokies. He's a young 23 years old, and so Justin, I guess I want to start off with saying, how did you acquire this position here at the Smokies, and what does it mean to you?
Well, I applied in the off-season back in December to Mick, who's the head of broadcasting here, and emailed back and forth for a little while, and then had a couple of phone conversations back in, I want to say, February, and decided that he liked my stuff and liked me.
Elliot Soto and Ivan Pinheiro are no longer Smokies and no longer members of the Cubs organization, as they were dealt to the Miami Marlins early today in exchange for former Smokie and right-handed starter Dan Herron.
Had a conference call with him and Andrew Green, who's the director of media relations, and I decided to offer me the job, and came down here towards the end of March, right around the time the season was beginning, and began working around then, right a couple weeks before the season began. And I loved it. The people down here are great. The entire staff is fantastic. Working with Andrew and Mick has been very easy. It's been very rewarding. I've learned a lot. I've got to do a lot of great things, and I've certainly enjoyed my experience down here in Tennessee with the Smokies.
In the mix, one team, one click. Also got a chicks. Haters get so pissed off. Hands on hips. I don't own boots, but I speak a southern drawl. Eastbound crooks, out west outlaws, pals. Money maker.
Why did you choose baseball to be your voice, or moreover, what does baseball mean to you in your childhood?
I love baseball, and the game itself was for my father and I, it was the mechanism that helped us communicate. We played wiffle ball in the backyard, we talked baseball. When times were tough, following my favorite team as a kid and my favorite players, collecting baseball cards, got me through those times. Listening to games on the radio. When there were times when we didn't have a television, I had to listen. And so it's just a love that I have. And I hope that, what I aspire to do is to give that same pleasure to someone else that's listening, to pass along that passion and the knowledge that I have from being around the game. And hopefully someone's driving with their dad listening to our games, and they go under a tunnel and the game goes out, and then you pop back up on the other side and they're still listening. It's a thrill when baseball fans will stop me and say, all right, remember that game? The Smokies had the bases loaded. The best hitter was coming up. I couldn't get out of the car. I just knew he was going to hit a grand slam.
Miggy kept it in his back pocket. And then one spring training when he was in the big leagues, as he sends a high fly ball deep to right center field. Back goes Walker. He's at the wall. Gone. Grand slam. Smokies come back to take the lead. That's the fourth grand slam of the year. Somebody in Chicago saying, hey, we need that here. It's 6-5 Tennessee.
And that's what you want to do. You just want to have a lot of fun and translate that over. And the game itself, I don't think there's a better game. I like football. I like basketball. I like soccer. I like all sports. Volleyball. Anything I've ever broadcast, I've enjoyed. But baseball, to me, it takes so much thought. It's so mental and physical. And the fact that any size person can play baseball. There's not like football where you've got to kind of fit this mold. So that makes baseball special. I think it's the greatest game.
So right now we're in the audio production room, and in here I cut live highlights of the game, and we use those for the post-game shows, and they're also submitted to MILB.com to use for FM and AM radio stations across the country who want to know what's happening with the Tennessee Smokies. And speaking of the Smokies, that's who I actually work for. I work for Mick Gillespie with Tennessee Smokies Radio, and basically I am a production assistant, and I have many different jobs that go into this. One of those is here in the studio, like I was talking about, cutting highlights and using those for radio stations across the country, but I also help produce the games. So during the radio broadcast, I'll sit at the desk, and I'm basically a board operator. So what listeners hear on the radio, I'm in complete control of. Ready to go?
I'm ready, Channing.
You're on. Mind-boggling to think that everything is in my hands, but it's a big responsibility, but I really enjoy it. So my dad and I would sit at the TV and watch the Vols play, and on Sundays we would watch Peyton Manning. And I love the sports aspect of it and how the game worked and the rules and just how the teams prepare for it. And in doing so, I kind of understood that behind the game, behind the people and the athletes that were part of those, there were stories to be told. You know, if there weren't people like me and others who do sports broadcasting and sports journalism, those stories would never be heard. So that's kind of how I got into it, and what I want to do for the rest of my life.